What is going on, baseball fans? Welcome in to a new edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. At the Podmaster, you have VP Danny Boy Reginald, and you got the old ops guy. Gentlemen, good morning. You smell that? Spring is coming.
Spring is coming, and not that you would really notice it if you looked outside the windows in New York, but it's baseball time, baby.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice it in anywhere in my area either. It's freezing cold, and we're about to get 2 feet of snow.
And that's coming up here right after it leaves you.
You get
Thanks,
snow, I've got
Dan.
rain right now.
You see, here's the thing. Before we get to all the baseball, and it's so exciting to see everyone report, even Marcus Stroman, even though we're not going to keep him. Um,
I don't pitch out of the
I
bullpen, man.
yeah, I left New York for many reasons. One of is to get away from the snow. And yet we can't get away from it. No matter where I go, I'm gonna get dumped by this catastrophe. I've never seen so much snow come from the south. It's crazy.
Yeah, Noah's really messing with us now.
Shout out no shout out no shout out his good friend Al Roker, who taught him everything he knows.
hmm Yeah,
Oh,
he's
all right.
a weatherman on TV. Oh
Listen,
God.
but as we said, the weather doesn't sound like it. But baseball season is basically upon us.
Mhm.
Pitchers and catchers have reported to their respective spring trainings. We had a big signing earlier this week. We'll get into baseball season's coming, folks. Get excited. It's the only time if you're a Sacramento A's fan you think you got a shot.
The Sacramento
Man,
All
A's.
so
right.
that is
You know,
the
I
biggest joke
apologize to
yet.
athletics fans everywhere. If you're the Chicago White Sox, it's the only time you think you got a shot. All right. Let's dive in. Let's start with the favorite team of network member Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy, and that being the Boston Red Sox, who signed third baseman Alex Bregman to a 3-year, $120 million contract. Bregman, the former Astro, had 260 last year with 26 homers and 75 RBIs. Alex Cora yesterday basically said they don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to kick Bregman over to second, maybe move Rafi Devers over to DH. They haven't decided yet. But Mark, the biggest free agent on the market left, has a new home in Boston.
And what you just had to say regarding the key is what I said to you last night is you have two of the top five third basemen in the league on your team. Defensively, and even when you read Bregman's numbers, that's an off year for him. I would beg to differ. Anybody wouldn't mind having that off of a year. This is a win for the Red Sox, but only if they figure out Rafael Devers has to stay at third. He is a great defensive third baseman. Bregman hasn't played second in a long time. Could he do it? Yes. I think the best way to start it off is Bregman DH, take some time learning and redoing second, and then get back into the field.
Dan?
I mean, the Bregman signing, look, he was tied to the Red Sox for a while. We just didn't know which team he was going to ultimately choose. He went with the Red Sox for obvious reasons, and that's money. You know, you're getting north of $40 million per year. He has options after his first couple seasons, right?
Let me double check that.
So that's what the initial reports were saying.
He
Uh,
probably does. I just want to make sure.
yeah, but and And look, it's a money thing, but the big thing about the Bregman is no other team was going to really sign him. So the Red Sox swooped in. And it's a risky deal. Like it's very risky. Like I look, I know his bat was built for Fenway Park. So in that sense, that's actually not terrible. And look, he'll know how to kick the Yankees' ass in the division. Um, it's a risky signing, but it makes the Red Sox better. So, with that said, if you look at the Red Sox now in their position in the American League, it actually opens them up a little bit because you have that Bueller signing, and now you have the Bregman signing. You know, all of a sudden, you put certain pieces together. That's a playoff team right there. Like, you tell me what other American League team is a major threat to the Yankees.
Baltimore still, in my
But
opinion.
Baltimore didn't do anything. So
Oh no, I understand, but I mean, I would just answer your question: who is a direct threat? I
I
know
guess.
Baltimore did let Corbin Burns go, but I think that Baltimore team is still very talented, even with the loss of Santander.
I'm so down on the Orioles, man. I'll get into it later, but I'm so down on them because they want you to believe, and then they don't do anything.
Right.
This is through the trade deadline and into the winter. I'm so disappointed in the Baltimore Orioles that I can't even express how disappointed I would be
Yeah,
if I'm an Orioles fan
especially
today.
with the new billions of dollars that they
Yeah,
all
you get a
of them
new.
have
But
now.
by the way, you're a
Like,
new owner. Spend some damn money. Don't
like
do, and
when
don't give me
when
bull that you spent 15 million on Charlie Morton.
yeah, when Uncle Stevie became the Mets owner, it took him a year or so, but he started spending the dollars when he had the chance to.
Okay, Steve Cohen's first offseason was Max Scherzer, not Scherzer, was Marte and Canna.
Mhm.
Maybe not great players, but guys who fit and had a narrative how they could fit the line. The Baltimore Orioles have this young nucleus
Mhm.
of talent, and they're pardon my French,
Pitching.
they're pissing it away.
Mhm.
You're not wrong. As I said, losing Corbin Burns just blew my mind.
That was a
I could,
blow. That was a
I
horrible.
couldn't see why you would
How
let
could
him
you get
go.
rid of him? Like, I don't get it.
I mean,
Mark, it's
he
not even
had
the
a
fact that
fantastic year.
it's not even the fact that you lose Burns. It's the fact that you never replaced him.
Mhm.
That too.
They
Like,
Yeah.
did
like, like
nothing with
Grayson
him.
Rodriguez was hurt a lot of last year. Now all of a sudden, it's Zach Eflin and some of these other guys. Like, I'm sorry, that can't compete to me with what the Yankee rotation has. That can't compete now with what Boston has because Dan, you mentioned Walker Bueller. Hey, you know what else the Red Sox did? They traded for Garrett Crochet. So
Forgot about that one.
if you're, by the way, the Blue Jay rotation should be pretty good.
I mean,
Like,
we'll see about that. But
no, but arguments say Gosman can be better. Barrios started strong and then he faded.
Right.
Max Scherzer will give you like 20, hopefully 15 to 20 starts. You just,
Well, he'll give you 5 and then have a shoulder capsule
yeah.
problem.
Alek Manoah, listen, I've been on the Alek Manoah train for about
Yes.
4 years now. Eventually, this dude's going to come through. The Blue Jays have something. And I'm not even going to talk about the Rays because the Rays don't even have a stadium they're going to play in this year. So I'm going to give
And
the
that
Rays a pass.
right, and that does not having a home field, an official home field, takes a lot of morale out of your team
Yeah.
because you're not necessarily playing in front of your hometown fans.
No, and by the way, we know the Rays play at a disadvantage anyway when they host teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox because it's all Yankee Red Sox fans. But
Right.
Dan, to your point, I think right now, if I'm loading the Red Sox up, I think right now they're the biggest threat to the Yankees in the AL East. Listen, it would have been Baltimore, but Baltimore didn't do squat this offseason. The Boston Red Sox, who have, in my opinion, one of the best managers in the game in Alex Cora, he's proven how good he is. If some of these young players take a step, Tristan Casas, Elvis Duran in center field. I know it's Jared. People don't correct me.
I know. I'm like sitting here. I know he's making a
But-
joke on that.
But here's the other thing. The Red Sox are going to get Trevor Story back. We forget Trevor Story is a member of the Boston Red Sox. Now that lineup with Bregman and Duran and Casas, and that lineup just got deeper.
It not only got deeper, but Story didn't catch on until after the first few months he started it, and then he got injured. So I don't want to rule him being a threat yet till we see what version of him comes back.
But he's going to be a presence.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
He's still got the respect and everything that he deserves.
So,
I just don't know if he's going to be completely 100%.
So Dan, to your point earlier, opt-outs after this season for Bregman and next season.
Yeah. So obviously, it's risky because, if Bregman has a horrible season, he can just be like, well, I'm just gonna opt in because I need to make money.
Cody Bellinger syndrome from the Cubs before the Cubs just said, yeah, no, that ain't happening. We're going to trade you.
So if you're the Red Sox, you actually want him to do good so that you don't have to pay him $40 million next year.
Well, here's the other thing. This is from MLB.com. Bregman had an offer from the Detroit Tigers of 6 years and $171.5 million, and then with an opt-out after next season, and an offer from the Cubs for 4 and 120 with opt-outs after 26 and 27. Chooses the Red Sox for the higher AAV.
It has to be for money. I mean, the Blue Jays had something similar to what Detroit had, and he still turned it down.
Yeah.
So it was about the amount of the AAV per year rather than the years. Yeah.
So you see it like that. You're saying the AAV. I'm seeing it as Bregman's in the second half of his career. And no offense to the Tigers and no offense to the Cubs, they're not World Series contenders. And I think Bregman knows his time is coming up. And like Mike said, Red Sox fit on 2 points. One, the AAV was higher. Absolutely understandable. But I think the Red Sox are more of a threat to go deeper into the league, into the playoffs, and so on.
Well, and don't question that familiarity with Alex Cora, who was the bench coach in Houston. But to kind of kick back on something you said, I kind of like that Tigers team.
It's a young, great team.
They're young. He could have been the experienced guy. AJ Hinch, who was his manager in Houston, that could have played a role. I listen. I'm not saying picking Boston was a mistake. I'm not going to say that. Detroit, I think would have been very intriguing, especially after they bring back Jack Flaherty.
I mean, you make a solid case. We were talking about the Tigers a lot last season, and we brought up the guy who had pretty much the best year for that team in Tyreek Skubal. I mean, I can't wait to see him pitch this year. Yeah, I can't wait to watch him pitch this year.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Bregman and the Red Sox. We are not going to make official predictions yet. That'll come later in the springtime. But we move on. We go from the Red Sox to their biggest rival. And Dan, the Yankees have made headlines the last couple of days. One, Marcus Stroman. He's a starter, man. He's not pitching out of the bullpen.
Yeah. The nerve for that guy to show up to spring training, though, is it just makes everything so awkward. It's like you know the Yankees are trying to move you, and they've made it very clear about that, whether that's publicly or whether that's through some aggregator, whatever it is. Like it's out there. The Yankees don't want you here anymore, but yet you report to spring training. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like I would just take my sweet ass time, and or
Well,
not report at all. But yet
sorry,
you
Dan.
report still kind of on time-ish. Like I don't know. Like
I have no disagreement with Dan. I'm just putting in it might be because he's still a Yankee in his contract. You don't show up to spring training on time, you get fined $25,000 a day. That we don't know. And there are a lot of contracts, whether it's the MLB or the MLS, that have this built in for these reasons. So he shows up. What if he shows up healthy and is 5 miles more on his fastball and everything's working? Take a shot on him. If he does good the first 5 games, what is your loss?
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, you know, I just don't want to waste his time. I don't want to waste our time too.
And
You
I
know,
and I
we-
absolutely understand that.
like
But the
we
problem is
have
nobody wants him after his big mouth and his problems.
yes.
So that's why I'm saying if he has a good start to the season, then maybe you can move him fast.
Well, you also know this. There is always a starter that will go down in spring training.
This is
Whether
also
it's whether it's a Yankee starter or another team starter, that can open things up on his trade value or whatever. I think it's interesting. You talked about the reporting. He did bring up he did lose a home in the California wildfire, so it's a very sad situation. But I think it's really interesting the fact that Brian Cashman kind of said this. Like, we're cool with his comments of him not being a starter, but he's kind of got to earn it. And I'm looking at Cashman and I go, but you've been shopping him all winter. You're just saying this because you couldn't find the taker. And we get that. But the other part of this is, hey, maybe a 6-man rotation isn't a bad idea, especially with Garrett Cole, who had some elbow issues last year.
Yeah.
right.
So we'll see what happens there. But the other piece of Yankee news, Dan, is they are working on a new contract for Aaron Boone, and they hope to get that done by the end of spring training.
Yeah, look, when you make it to the World Series and come within a couple of games of, at least making it very interesting for the Dodgers, like they're gonna want to keep you. I still have my concerns about Boone. I'd be lying to you if I didn't. Um, but he did manage the Yankees a lot better last season. Um, I think it was much easier to manage knowing that Juan Soto's in your lineup. Um,
Right.
I was very, very thrilled with what I saw from Aaron Boone last season. Still there are still the few things like the quick switches in the bullpen. There's still a few things that still rattle me, but or putting someone in cleanup that's not named Aaron Judge. But I think for the most part, Boone actually had a great season. And I was very happy with that. The Yankees made the World Series. So if they want to continue with this Boone, that's cool. I'm cool with that. However, eh, there's no more gray area here. I need to see a world championship under this regime.
Okay, so that was going to be my follow up to you. Had the Yankees not made the World Series last year, where would you be on Boone coming back long term?
If they had lost in the championship series to the Guardians, I would have been okay with firing him.
Okay.
But they made the World Series, so look, the National League was going to win that World Series no matter what. Whether it was the Mets, whether it was the Phillies, whether it was the Dodgers. The National League was winning that World Series. So it look, while the Yankees certainly blew it, they blew their opportunities because they had plenty of opportunities to actually make it somewhat interesting.
Game
Um,
1 and game 5.
well, Game 5 is always on my mind. That specifically that fifth inning. Um, Still though, I think that um going to the World Series helped Boone. It helped him. So and now they want to extend him. And again, I'm cool with it as long as we know that there's no more, well, we're just gonna weasel our way to the playoffs and get a first round exit. I want a World Series championship. I don't care who our competition is. No gray area. Let's win. It's about winning.
Okay. Mark, you want to add anything?
No, I think Dan said it pretty well.
Nothing.
Excuse me.
All right, so we'll see what happens with Boone and the apparent contract extension that should be coming. Brian Cashman called it a quote top priority.
Mm.
On to someone else who loves top priorities. Anthony Rendon, the greatest contract in baseball history. A couple of days ago, Angels general manager Perry Minasian told reporters Anthony Rendon will have hip surgery and will be out, quote, long term, close quote.
Long term, that could mean
That could mean the year.
anything.
Right.
That could mean very short timing. I have no idea. The Angels need to stop this crap and just get rid of it. It's like, what are we doing?
So this is from Sam Blum, who writes for the Angels from the Athletic. He had a setback in his rehab in the last few weeks. So
He
his
did
whole
have the
career,
hip surgery already,
yeah, I guess.
or whatever he did to heal the hip issue, and that was one of the setbacks. What a disgrace! What a disaster! And it continues to be a disastrous contract
Yeah.
the longer he is off the field. And then when he's on the field, he bitches and complains. Excuse my language. But that's essentially what it is. So, disaster. Olaf's guy.
I hate following Dan sometimes because Dan has like the same brain as me and likes to talk the same. Rephrase the question one more time.
No, this is just thoughts on Anthony Rendon.
Oh, well, I thought there was a specific answer because I didn't want to be such a dick and how I want to be about this guy. I have watched many a player have an amazing season and then go on to sign a big contract with another team. The To me, the two worst was Jason Giambi from Oakland to the Yankees and Anthony Rendon from the Nationals to the Angels. Yeah, Rendon was signed because he had that one great season with Washington. The guy hasn't done jack blank in the last, I don't know, since the first day he walked into that stadium.
For pretty much 6 years.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. Give him his outright release. I will pretty much guarantee that no major league team would ever take a shot on him. He'll go play with Trevor Bauer in the Mexican League.
No, he doesn't even have to play. He could just retire based on the money the Angels paid him.
Yeah,
Well, that too.
exactly. And since he doesn't really care about baseball, he said that last year too. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
yeah. He also said that after the Nationals won the World Series.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Since he doesn't care, look,
Give the
humble
money
him.
back.
Humble him by sending him somewhere where, you know, people don't give a shit. Like Sacramento. I don't know what gives a shit in Sacramento. You
Yeah,
know?
but then the A's aren't going to pay him any money. Well, here's the
They'll pay
thing.
him chump change, $500,000.
He's under contract through 2020, up until 2027. So he's still got another year after this.
And he's older and
He's
more
already mid
depressed.
30s and oh, all right. So here is numbers from Baseball Reference. Last year he didn't hit a home. So in 5 years with the Angels, in 257 games, he has 22 homers and 125 stolen bases with a slash line of 242, 348, and 369, and a WAR of 3.7. That's his whole career with the Angels.
Like you would think that'd be what, a couple years in the league? You know?
22 homers is something, guys doing 1 year.
I was about to say 20 is almost,
But by the sorry to cut you off, Mark. He hit 34 his last year with Washington.
and then it was injury plague after that, grabbing a fan by the neck and not caring that has done him in. Rendon, when he was with Washington, and I will say, I liked watching the guy play.
Yeah, he
He
can play.
played with tenacity. He was a team player. He was vocal. He got what a lot of players get is he got his ego way too high when he got the monster deal to leave. It happens, but don't be a dick about it.
Here's the thing. This seems to all. I don't want to say this only happens to the Angels, but the Angels have prime examples of these contracts that just go terribly wrong. Josh Hamilton, C.J. Wilson, Albert. Listen, I know you only signed Albert Pujols because of the milestone homers, but still, that wasn't a good contract. Someone needs to sit Artie Moreno down. Tell him, one, he has a fabulous mustache, but two, and more importantly, that's not how you operate. You have to spend your money wisely. Now, look, we've said it before. Rendon was a hell of a player for Washington.
Yeah.
He was a key cog in them winning the World Series. Now, he might be the most useless baseball player on the planet.
Yeah. Non-factor. Oh, and another fleecing by the great Scott Boras, by the way.
Scott, why'd you have to hold out on so many of these guys when you just get Anthony Rendon money?
Well, the one good thing is, as far as I know, Pete Alonso was fired, Scott Boras, but no actual
I'm not
confirmation
saying
on that.
anything on that because I don't
No
know.
actual confirmation on that.
No confirmation on nothing. Man. So yeah, Anthony Rendon will not play for the Angels. Quote for a long time.
Yeah, we
I have to wonder if that's the season.
Possibly.
Have to wonder on that one.
And I don't feel bad for him. I don't.
I don't feel bad for him.
No, he has his money.
There is one person in the Angels organization I feel poorly for, and it's Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately for Mike Trout, you've had you might have an opportunity to waive your no trade clause at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that's built into his contract. I mean, at the time he was given that $500 million contract. So I have no idea what it is, but I do know that he has been talking with the Angels about a possible move. There's nothing
Well, I know
imminent.
they've talked to him and he's not
He's making right because he's making what he's making. I mean, he doesn't want to be that guy who gets put up, says, yeah, let's see if we can find a trade, and not one team wants to touch him because of the money. That would just destroy his morale. So right now, I mean, I don't know how many years are left, to be honest. I'm sure it's at least three to five, typical normal
he's
sentence.
up after Okay, he signed through up until 2031.
Okay, so
So he's got another 6 years on
6 years. He's not going to last 6 years in LA. I'm telling you, there will be some type of deal made to give him a shot at another ring because he isn't getting it in LA.
And a 37 million a year.
Right. And he'll get some team to eat a chunk of that. Looking down at Dan, could Mike Trout be the new DH for the Yankees?
Now while Stanton's there.
That'd be interesting.
No, unless you're going to trade Stanton in the deal, which I'm not going to think the Angels are going to do. Stanton still got
Enough money to bail out Europe and Africa.
Hold on, I'm just looking up how much Stanton's got left on his deal. Stan's got a club option in 2028, and then he's officially up in 29.
2028. So,
but he's also 35.
Three more years.
Picking up that option.
What was that, Dan?
Yankees aren't picking up that club option.
No way.
I wouldn't think so. I'm just telling you what Spotrac is telling me. I mean, the other thing about Trout is the Angels got to find a way to keep him healthy.
Yeah. He has to find a way to keep himself healthy. I mean,
Thank you.
He's going to get injured. It's a given. But how do you stay on the field as much as possible so that you can be around for your team? And look, I don't know what Mike Trout's power is going to be like. I know he's probably lost some of it because of so many injuries and everything. It's not easy just to be hurt all the time and then all of a sudden, you're gonna come back and be one of the biggest explosive power hitters in baseball. But I would think that some of it's still there.
Yeah.
And if you can stay on the field as much as possible to help your team out, well, let's do it. And again, the Angels aren't the greatest team in the world, but
him staying on the field also would boost his value.
Yeah. And Rifkin makes that's a great point. It's not just about the Angels, it's about you.
Right.
Maybe the Angels do send you somewhere where you're more valued.
By the way, here's the other thing. You ask how. You got to sit there and tell them, look, we need you as much as you need us. You probably have to DH, more often than not. You have to be that guy for us because playing the field isn't doing anything for your knees or your hamstring or whatever's been aching you over the years.
Yeah.
And we need you at your best because at your best, you're one of the best players in all baseball still. And you're must watch.
Yes.
We can talk about all the teams that could potentially use him. Look, I know he's from Jersey. He's a huge Eagles fan. I would never want to see him and Harper in the same lineup unless it's an all-star game.
Yeah.
But Philly, actually, I don't know if this would ever happen, but the Angels need a third baseman. Could you trade the Nolan Arenado contract for the Mike Trout contract? The Cardinals won't do it because the Cardinals don't have a direction at the moment, but something. But we'll have to see what happens there with Trout, and hopefully the Angels in the outfield can keep him healthy. All right. So, let's see what else we got here for the run. All right. So, as we mentioned at the top, spring training right around the corner. Players are reporting. Let's do a little fun thing here. We can go winners, losers of the offseason. Right now, it's fun and games because we don't know what's going to occur. Mark, I'll start with you with a winner. but don't give me the Dodgers or the Mets because they signed so.
When you take that away from me, man, you
If
got
you
to
want
look
to go
at
for it, I just
no,
want to
no,
see your
no, no, no,
reaction.
no. That's fine. I hate to say this, it almost guts me. The team across the street, the Yankees have had a decent off season by fielding, by filling many of empty roster spots and not with garbage. They're guys who can come through and really give a boost to players like Aaron Judge, give them a little more protection in the lineup. They've added pitching, which you wouldn't know it as of looking at last year, but at the beginning of the Yankees season, pitching was a concern because there were injuries, but people do get healthier. Um, I think the Yankees are the team for the AL East. I do believe that it is a competition though, because like Mike said, all but the Rays, because we really don't know much about the Rays because they have no home field right now. Any of the other three teams can be challenging. It's up for the Yankees to get a lead early.
Mhm. Dan, for you. And if you want to comment on the Yankee offseason, go ahead as well.
Who I think won the offseason?
Yeah.
Well, the Mets did. The Mets won because they got prize free agent Juan Soto and was able to find a way to keep Pete Alonso, which I will give them credit for, even though they don't deserve it because David Sturz didn't want him here. But they still were able to get Alonso back. So now you have this big, beautiful lineup that everyone craves for. You know, all the top hitters that you can ask for. On top of that, the pitching may have taken a backseat a bit, but they still got Sean Manaea back. And that's huge.
And we acknowledge the real tribal
Yeah.
chief.
Yeah. The
And
jury's still out on Kodai Senga. They're trying to turn Clay Holmes into a starter, which I'm kind of
I
weirded out
don't love
about.
that idea, to be
I,
honest.
I
But
read that also, and I wasn't for it.
yeah. So I mean, but the bullpen seems to be okay. You know, at least Ottavino's not there anymore. Um, but yeah, no, I
you're an
think the
out
Mets
of
win.
Vino.
Out of
The Mets to me, and then I mean, I'm not going to say the Dodgers. The Dodgers are overrated, but still they're going to win the World.
Tired of the Dodgers.
Um, I will say Mets and um, you know, I also think that the Tigers also got a little bit better. They're younger. And they already made the playoffs. So now how do you have sustained consistent win for Detroit?
Okay, for me, I'm kind of going to go off board here. Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay.
You add Corbin Burns to a rotation that already has Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. It's pretty good top three. And then they lose Christian Walker, but add Josh Naylor, who's younger than Walker, hit 30 homers and drove in 100 for Cleveland last year. I kind of like what Arizona did. They got a little bit younger, a little bit more flexibility, and the top of that rotation is just really, really good.
I just hate that division though. I really hate that division for them.
Well, Dean, at least you are not a fan of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
That's what you can sit here and be happy about. You're not a Rockies fan, so you'll never have to worry about ever winning that division. Sorry, Rockies fans. Man,
One
not
of
a
these
good
days,
show.
one of these days they'll compete for a wild card.
Not a good show. I've taken shots at the A's, White Sox, and the Rockies. My apologies to the basement of Major League Baseball. Oh, Mark, what about the other side? losers of the offseason.
I think Dan really said it, and I feel bad I'm going to steal it from him. Baltimore. Baltimore, even though they had lost the offseason, I still have high expectations for this team. But when you lose Corbin Burns, you got to replace him in some fashion. You're not going to find someone who's like him, but you got to find somebody who's going to give you at least half of what he was going to give just to get a replacement in there to eat innings if it must be or whatnot.
Dan?
I already talked my sense in Baltimore, but how about the Phillies? I don't think they improved.
Ooh.
I think they're going to be stagnant, and that's not good for a team that's trying to win. And you owe it to that fan base, knowing that you have Harper, knowing that you have Turner, knowing that you have the pitching staff that you have. You owe it to that fan base to try to win. And your team didn't get better. So I'm going with Philly.
The one move I remember them making was they made the trade with the Marlins for Jesus Luzardo. It's the one move I remember them making. Let's see if there's anything else. A couple of minor league deals. I don't think they did much else. All right.
But not enough to.
No, I agree
They're
with you.
still
I was
good
just
enough to
looking for
compete.
myself.
I'm not saying they aren't good enough to compete for that division. I'm just saying.
Right. No,
what
I agree
can
with
they
you.
do to help themselves out? Because it's good. It's the National League has a lot of star power, and you need to figure out a way to get past the entirety of the National League. And knowing that Philly, they made the World Series, then they lost in the championship series, and they lost in the wild card, the division series. So, um, they've regressed in the playoff runs each year. It's about getting back. Like, I just don't want Philly to go into a period where they're just steady.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be steady in the National League. You're gonna get your ass kicked.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm leaning two ways. I'm going to go one for each league. Seattle Mariners. I am done talking about how great the Seattle Mariner rotation is if you're not going to back them up with a decent offense. When the only team that had worse batting average is the Chicago freaking White Sox, and you don't do a damn thing about it, I have zero sympathy for you, Seattle.
Yeah.
Go Seahawks.
But
And also bring back the Sonics.
Supersonics.
Yeah, but the Mariners, we know this about the Mariners. They don't do anything.
But
Like,
Dean, this was your opportunity. I'm not saying
I
Grab
agree.
Soto. I'm not even saying Grab Soto or Pete Alonso. Trade for a first baseman. Go get Naylor. Sign Christian Walker. Do something. Don't be what you just said about Philly. Philly got stagnant. The Seattle Mariners are more stagnant than
but they haven't been crazy world beaters either.
Right, but this was
we
your
don't
chance
expect
to
them
go
doing-
do something.
We expect them to do something the offseason going into the 2024 season. And they
Right.
didn't do anything.
But here's the thing. Houston is very vulnerable.
Yes.
The Texas Rangers, we have no idea what their rotation is going to look like. The AL West is as wide open as
Watch it.
as the Philadelphia Eagles receivers were last week during the Super Bowl. Do something. Go out there. Back up that freaking rotation. And you sit on your hands and you want that fan base to get excited about Jorge Polanco?
No.
Like, what are we doing? I love Julio Rodriguez. He's one of the best players in baseball. Get him some protection in that lineup. Cal Raleigh is the best nickname in baseball, the big dumper. Go out and get another bat. What are we doing, Seattle?
Well, I
You
think
don't act like you
Seattle.
don't have the freaking money.
That's the way they're acting, and I don't disagree with you. You look at that rotation, and Mike, Dan, both of us and all three of us have said any of our teams would be happy to have one of or more of the Seattle starting pitchers in a
Yeah.
trade. They have a solid, and the key word here, young rotation.
Yeah.
It's not guys who are 30 and up. These guys are all under. They're trying to move the oldest in Castillo. Nobody's jumping on it because teams are almost settled in what they want. If they're not going to talk about trading Gilbert whatever, what's the point?
Right. And if you're not going to improve your team, guess what's going to happen in 3 years when those guys are up?
Goodbye.
We're not staying. You're not going to help us. We're not going to help you. So it's a double-edged sword. The other team, and I'm tired of talking about them every offseason, the Giants. I get it. You signed Willie Adames. But when you spend 17 million on Justin Verlander, and I love Justin Verlander, don't sit there and tell me you're going to compete with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers.
Dodgers, no. We don't know what the Diamondbacks are going to be this year.
The Diamondbacks went to the World Series 2 years ago. I'm confident in the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Where did they go last year?
I don't know.
Exactly.
They hit a cactus. What do you want me to tell you? But you want me to believe in the Giants who haven't done anything
No.
since?
I could look,
Bruce
not even
Bochy?
I believe in the Giants, baseball or football. I mean, it doesn't make a difference.
You believe in the little Giants.
I was so depressed at the end of that movie.
What about James and the Giant Peach? Were you impressed with that one?
My daughter likes that movie. No, I mean, the San Francisco Giants seem to be like they want to get their names mentioned more than they want to get the actual players, like Arson Judge from a few years ago. But
Shout
every
out
year,
John Heyman for the arson judge.
for every year when there's a top free agent, like Mike just said, one team we always hear from in the rumors, oh, the Giants are ready to do this. And at the end of it, they do nothing.
Right. Oh, you signed Willie Adames off a career year.
I was about to say, Adames had a career year. Verlander's established, but we saw what happened when he came over to the Mets. He got injured, missed 3/4 of the season, and they traded him anyway. So I don't believe he's going to show much to San Francisco except the ball going out of the park.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we end this?
The minute we get to see any spring training games, I'm just gonna.
Spring training games actually will begin. Let me look this up.
Sometime in March, right? It has to be. Maybe
I would think so. I would think around March 3rd, March 4th.
Actually, no.
Really?
We have a game February 20th. So Thursday,
So this week,
the Cubs and the Dodgers.
It's baseball.
That's great.
The Yankees open up spring training on Friday against the Rays.
Okay.
Saturday, the New York Mets open up spring training against the Houston Astros.
So that's gonna be very exciting. Putting my legs up.
Relax.
Yeah, well, one thing we all want to do is we all want to get a preview of what our teams look like for the year. And let's all remember this is game 1, and if they lose 1-0, let's not throw in the towel yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care who plays in spring training.
Yeah.
Well, remember March 18th and 19th, Tokyo Series, Cubs, Dodgers, and then the action actually kicks off on March 27th.
Yeah. That's gonna be a lot of food here.
Oh boy, we got some good opening series. I'll tell you that.
Yes, we do.
Orioles, Blue Jays, Mets, Astros.
Might invest in MLB.
Braves, Padres. How about Tigers, Dodgers to open up the season?
Ugh.
You got a
Athletics,
nice,
Mariners.
Let's go
you got a
Detroit.
nice flush of opening series. You're gonna have. I mean, they can't make every series going to be exciting, but you got a nice grouping of good series
You
to
know what,
watch for opening
Mark,
day.
you're right. You can't put all the good teams together. Pirates, Marlins opens up the season.
If it's Paul Skeens, I'll be watching. If Paul Skeens is pitching, I'll watch the kid pitch.
I would presume Paul Skeens is the Pirate opening day starter.
I would hope so.
Gotta be
That would
the
be
ace. I think he's the ace. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is must see television. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Batter Up. Check it out live on the YouTube Sports Insanity Network. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the audio form wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com, for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Follow us on the socials: Twitter @InsanityReal, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network. Mark, anything to talk about with the dugout?
We got some exciting news. We will be posting 3 cards up on eBay coming up in the upcoming week. One of them, Bobby Witt Luminous, 2 of 3 autograph patch jersey card. BEA beautiful. Once it goes up, we'll post it on the Facebook site so everybody can see it. If you're a Bobby Witt Jr. fan, this is not a card to miss out on.
I bid $5.
Okay, you've been outbid already.
That's how it works. All right. For Mark, Dan, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you all again next week as we get very close to the baseball season. Have a good week, everybody.
You too.